Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova on Wednesday said that there is a risk that ISIS will reappear if US would withdraw from eastern Syria, contradicting earlier statements of Russian officials calling for US troops to leave Syria. In light of President Trump's promise to pull out from Syria very soon, there are high risks of the caliphate reappearing in the Trans-Euphrates region, as was the case in Iraq when ISIS was actually created there in 2011 after US troops withdrew from that country, she said. This contradicts earlier statements of Russian officials that welcomed Trump's comments to pull out from Syria. It's unclear if this means that Russian policy is changing, which is unlikely. There is a legitimate presence based on an invitation from official authorities, but there is an illegitimate one, namely presence of the US-led coalition and special forces troops from a wide range of foreign countries who nobody has invited, Russian FM Sergei Lavrov told reporters in September last year. After terrorism is defeated, the first step should be the pullout of those who stay illegitimately in Syria. Brett McGurk, the U.S. envoy for the anti-ISIS coalition, said in a conference on the 10th of May that the U.S. would not withdraw without defeating ISIS. Currently, the SDF is engaged in operations to defeat ISIS in the Deir Azzor region. Second, the U.S. will remain on the ground in Syria until ISIS is defeated and the so-called caliphate is completely eliminated. Third, we will work to ensure local forces, enabled by our regional partners and allies, consolidate these gains, stabilize liberated territories, and prevent the return of ISIS, McGurk said. Foreign fighters. Russia was also critical of the situation surrounding several thousand foreign fighters captured by the US-led coalition and the Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, in the Trans-Euphrates region. The allegation that it is impossible to coordinate extradition procedures and the legal assistance parameters with the countries of origin of the militants looks completely unconvincing, Zakharova said. It appears that this legal vacuum was created intentionally. It is designed to hide the real goal, which is to relieve the militants of accountability. Interestingly, despite clear evidence of involvement in terrorism, charges have not been brought, and investigative actions are not being carried out, she said. According to our data, the issue is about 2,000–3,000 militants, mostly from Europe, Arab countries and the CIS. The preventive measures boil down to limiting their freedom of movement. At the same time, they are provided with 3 meals a day, medical services, and access to exercise equipment, she added. By avoiding a criminal prosecution of these militants, the US administration is essentially covering up their criminal activities. In this regard, we would like to draw everyone's attention to the need to implement the principle of the inevitability of punishment of the captured terrorists for their crimes in accordance with the extradite or prosecute approach, she said. US officials and also the SDF have earlier called on European states to take back the foreign fighters, but so far most of EU countries have been reluctant to take the fighters back. The important thing is that the countries of origin keep responsibility for them, US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis told reporters in February. How they carry out that responsibility, there's a dozen different diplomatic, legal or whatever ways, I suppose. But the bottom line is, we don't want them going back on the street.